What's up everyone, welcome back to another episode of Workshop Rebuild. It's already been a full year and this right here will be the last video of 2021. If you guys haven't already seen the summary video I just uploaded, you guys can click the top right hand corner and check that out for yourself. I go into detail on what we achieved last year, what I still have to do, and looking forward to 2022, what I might be working on. So have a look at that video, and in today's video, I'll be working on the John Deere 400 once again. I'll grab that Kohler K532, mount it right in between the two frame rails. Once that's in place, I'll have a good look at the instrument panel. Once that's in place, I can deal with the wiring, which will lead up to the engine. I'll also hook up the throttle and the choke cable to the engine, as well as the battery, so we can get this engine running for the first time. So stick around. Right over there is the Kohler K532. Everything has been mounted back onto the engine. I left the air filter away because I will still be adjusting the carburetor once it's on the frame. The bracket still has to get mounted from underneath of the engine, so we have 4 hookup points for the main frame. Those grommets right there will be our engine mounts, and right here we have 2 points, and then on the back end we have another 2 points. So this engine will be picked up, get put in place. Once the engine is in place, I will focus on the instrument panel, which is in this area right here, and that is all on this white table. So the instrument panel in my last video was not painted, and the linkage for the PTO was not hooked up yet either. So I made this a little bit tighter in the bushing. Now it moves freely. I still have to do some touch-up work on the paint job where I just welded it in place, but everything moves very free and there's not much play. As you guys saw last time, there was a whole bunch of side play, so you guys can see there's not much right now. Same as with these right here. This is just a little bit of flex, but there's actually no play down below, like that. And now when I move this, you guys can see the mechanism works flawlessly, and I still have to grease some things up down here, but everything is perfect right there. The dash has been painted up. You guys saw that in the last video. The choke and the throttle cable are right here. The dash will be then placed on the instrument panel, and then I can focus on this wiring. It's going to be very simple. I already went through the wiring harness and cleaned everything up, but I will share with you guys where all this mounts within the instrument panel. Right over here I have a couple knobs. The yellow one has already been painted, but I still will paint up the orange knobs. I can already put these on, but if I need to paint them, I can just take them back off because they pop off. This one pops off and this one is screwed on. This one has a little bit of damage, but I might be able to fix that up or just purchase a new one. The ammeter has been painted, so the bezel has been painted. That's going to probably look really sharp on that dash over there. The hour meter, and these are the bolts that hold the instrument panel in place. We also have an edge guard, and this will go on the instrument panel later on as well. Right here we have the cable which leads all the way down to the starter. We have our positive and our negative cable, which then lead to our battery. This right here is our battery tray. This right here is a bracket which mounts within the instrumental panel, and when the hood gets pushed down, it will latch right on this tab, and this is the cross member which holds in place within the instrument panel. So I'm going to pick up the engine right now, and then I'll focus on the instrument panel as well as some of the wiring, and then we'll get this engine fired. Underneath of the engine, and I tighten everything up. Now I'll drop the engine back onto the ground, take the engine hoist, bring it to the front of the engine where the PTO is, and then I'll lift the engine up once more and bring in the frame. I'll roll it underneath the engine and then hopefully we can rest the engine inside of the two frame rails. As you guys just saw, I dropped in the engine between both frame rails. All 4 bolts are tightened on each engine mount. Now I'll grab the instrumental panel, mount it in this area, and I'll have a good look at the wiring. So I'll wire everything around the dash. I'll tie some wires into the engine, and some of the wires will then lead to the back as well. So let's get right to it. So I grabbed the wiring harness and installed everything around the instrument panel. I checked the footage and I didn't really like it, so I'm just going to skip ahead and share with you guys a detailed view on the inside of the instrument panel right now. I'll also explain some of the switches that are involved to actually start up this machine. I'll also go over the choke and the throttle cable, which are mounted on the engine. And then I'll also have a good look at the fuel pump in the back so we can tie in our fuel tank right now so we can get this engine started up for the first time. So walking up to the John Deere 400, we have a whole bunch of wires down below. When we look at the rear of the dash, all the wires are tied in. We have a couple safety switches. So down below on the left of the screen, we have a double safety switch right there. That is for our PTO engagement lever. So you guys will see it right down below. When I deactivate it, it'll click, and when I activate it, it'll click again. So right there, we have 2 sets of safety switches. Down below on the dash, we have one more safety switch, which is right here. This is for our neutral, and that's our engagement. So we have to be in neutral to actually start up this machine. So when I take this away, and you guys can hear it clicks right there. So that safety switch is also in place and everything works down there. We have our starter solenoid, which is right here. We have our 2 cables, so this will be our ground. I have that hooked up to the engine right now. And then there's another cable, which is this one right here. This will be for the positive side. That goes into the starter solenoid right here, and that will then give power to our starter down below on the engine. There are a couple more wires right here. A lot of the yellow wires that you can see are for the lights. So we have that tied into our light switch right here. That works. And then we have our throttle and our choke cable right here. I'll get to that in a second. But then down below off to the far right corner of the instrument panel, we have a couple wires coming out back. 2 wires for our safety switch, which is in the back. I will have a safety switch on this seat. So right here, I have it bridged. This is just for the startup. So we have 2 wires coming out back. Those are pink wires. And we have one more pink wire, which leads down below to our fuel pump. The fuel pump is right there mounted on the frame. I have a ground on the frame. And this is basically the positive wire coming into the 12-volt fuel pump. One more wire is the yellow wire. And this is for our taillights eventually. I'm going to share with you guys the choke and the throttle cable, which are hooked up to the engine right now. Once I cover that, I'll go ahead and install the fuel tank so we'll have fuel to the carburetor. On the bottom left-hand corner of the dash, we have our choke and our throttle levers. The choke will be able to pull out and get pushed back in, and our throttle will be able to pull up and push back down. So now I'll have a look at the throttle cable. The throttle cable is hooked up to our governor. That is spring loaded, and that linkage is hooked up to our carburetor. So right now I'll pull the throttle lever, and you guys will see the throttle action over here. It pulls on the governor, the spring opens up, and we also have tension on our carburetor. I'll go back down. You guys can see it return in neutral position, or what we would call an idle. On the choke, I'll pull it up, and you guys will also see the same function, but this is directly hooked up to the carburetor. So right there, you guys can see if I push it down, it'll be on open, and when I pull on the choke, that will be fully closed. So when I share with you guys the inside of this, you guys should see the choke down below. Right there, the choke is open, and if I pull like this, the choke is closed. So everything around the throttle and the choke works just fine. I already set it up so we have the right adjustment. And on the carburetor itself, we have two adjustment screws. This right here is our main jet. This is for our fuel, and this is our mixture jet. So that is fuel to air. And both of these I have set to 1.5 turns out, and that will be my starting position. And I'll go from there once the engine is started up. I mounted the fuel tank and I routed the fuel hose all the way to the carburetor, and everything is in place. The battery is in place, and the battery tray is also there by the instrumental panel. So now I'll go ahead and turn the switch and see if this Kohler starts up. So you guys just heard it, the John Deere 400 started up for the first time. No, I do not have the drive shaft mounted right now because I still have to do the engine run-in time. That is 1 hour of running the engine, getting it up to temperature, adjusting the carburetor, and all that good stuff. Even after it's done, I have to check the oil once more and make sure everything is functioning properly. Then I will add the drive shaft and make sure everything is mounted onto the rear end perfectly. I won't share with you guys the 1 hour run-in time on camera. That will be pretty boring. So I'll do that off camera, and I'll bring you guys back for another episode next year, and I hope to see you soon.